When you refuse to react to a provocation, you aren't an oppose, just being quiet. You are performing a psychological surgery on the interaction. In social psychology, every human exchange is governed by an unwritten script. This script dictates that an action must be met with a corresponding reaction. If someone insults you, the script expects anger. If someone guilt trips you, the script expects an apology. If someone threatens your status, the script expects fear. This predictability is what allows manipulative people to feel safe. They pull a string, and they wait for the puppet to dance. But when you stay still, when you look at them with a neutral, steady gaze and offer absolutely nothing in return, you break the machinery of their control. You create a psychological vacuum that they are forced to fill with their own terror. You have likely stood in the center of someone else's storm. Perhaps it was a partner using a weaponized silence to make you beg for attention, or a supervisor using a condescending tone to make you feel small. In the past, you might have rushed to fill that space. You would explain, defend, or perhaps even cry. But imagine the shift that occurs when you decide that their chaos is not your responsibility. You simply watch them. You don and oppose, cross your arms in a defensive posture. You remain open, observant, and completely unbothered. In that moment, the air in the room becomes heavy. The person who was trying to provoke you suddenly looks frantic. They might escalate their behavior, becoming louder or more absurd. They aren't and oppose, actually angry at your silence, they are terrified of the reflection of their own instability that they see in your calm. In human behavior psychology, this dynamic is explained through the lens of uncertainty reduction theory. Humans have an evolutionary need to predict the behavior of those around them to ensure their own social safety. A manipulator is an expert at profiling your triggers. They gather data on what makes you sad, what makes you defensive, and what makes you compliant. When you stop reacting, you stop providing data. You become a black hole in their social map. Because they cannot predict your next move, they cannot manage the risk you represent. To a mind that thrives on control, what is unpredictable is inherently dangerous. Your peace is not a passive state, it is a high-level strategic withdrawal of information. The deeper dynamic at play here is the collapse of the social mirror, Most people do not have a solid internal sense of self, they rely on the reactions of others to tell them who they are. If they can make you angry, they feel powerful. If they can make you feel guilty, they feel righteous. When you offer no reaction, you refuse to be their mirror. You leave them in a state of sensory deprivation. Without your reaction to validate their performance, they are forced to confront the emptiness of their own tactics. In social psychology, this is often when the mask of the manipulator slips. Underneath the aggression is a fragile ego that is terrified of being irrelevant. By not reacting, you are essentially telling them that they are not important enough to disturb your internal equilibrium. This is the point where manipulation psychology turns into a self-destructive loop for the aggressor. They will often try to label your non-reaction as arrogance, coldness, or gaslighting, these are defensive projections. They are trying to shame you back into the reactive script because your reaction is the only thing that gives them leverage. Understand that their frustration is the highest compliment you can receive. It is the empirical evidence that you have achieved emotional independence. You have realized that your emotions are a high-value currency, and you have stopped spending them on people who are emotionally bankrupt. This is the hallmark of a maverick mind, the ability to remain sovereign in a world that demands your submission. We must also examine the concept of emotional contagion in social psychology. Usually, emotions are like a virus. If someone enters a room with high-intensity anger, the people around them often catch that intensity. By maintaining your calm, you are practicing a form of psychological immunity. You are signaling that your internal state is not for sale. This level of boundaries psychology is far more effective than any verbal argument. A verbal boundary can be debated, twisted, or ignored. But a boundary made of silence and non-reaction is a physical reality. It is a stone wall that no amount of shouting can move. You aren't oppose, punishing them with your distance, you are simply refusing to participate in a game that was designed for you to lose. Respect psychology suggests that we don't oppose, respect those who are easily moved. We respect the mountain because it remains unchanged regardless of the weather. When you show that you can withstand a social storm without losing your center, you command a primal form of respect. People realize that they cannot buy your peace with a few insults or bribe your attention with a little drama. This makes you an outlier in a society that is addicted to outrage. While everyone else is busy reacting to the latest provocation, you are busy observing. You are collecting the truth that everyone else is too loud to hear. This reaction gap provides a clarity that is transformative. When you aren't oppose, busy defending your character, you can actually see the character of the person in front of you. You see the insecurity behind the boast. You see the fear behind the threat. You see the desperation behind the manipulation. This insight is your greatest weapon. It allows you to navigate the world with a level of precision that the reactive person can never achieve. You aren't oppose, avoiding the conflict, you are seeing through it. You have moved the battle from the external world of noise to the internal world of insight, where you always have the home field advantage. Understand that your peace is a threat to the hierarchy of pretense. Most social structures are built on a mutual agreement to perform. When you stop performing, you expose the absurdity of the play. This is why people will try to fix you, change you, or cast you as the villain. They need you to be the problem so they don't oppose, have to admit that their own behavior is the real issue. Let them carry that burden. You do not need to correct their version of the story. Your life is not a courtroom, and you are not on trial. The only verdict that matters is the one you give yourself at the end of the day. Stay in your stillness. Let the world scream until its throat is raw. When you stop providing the fuel of your reaction, the fire of their manipulation will eventually burn itself out. Your silence is the evidence of your growth. Your indifference is the evidence of your freedom. Your non-reaction is the final period at the end of a long, exhausting sentence that you have finally stopped writing. You are the author of your own silence. You are the master of your own space. In the realm of social psychology, the person who needs nothing from the other is the one who holds all the power. Stay powerful. Stay quiet. Stay Maverick.